How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name is Swanee, and today I wanted to share my thoughts on the Battlefield 6 beta. Now, I've played a lot of Battlefield 6 by this point. I played last month in the Battlefield Labs playtest, and with the recent beta, I've pretty much played non-stop since the early access last Thursday. In fact, over the weekend, I made sure to fully max out every single weapon that the beta had to offer. Now, I unlocked every single attachment, and I tested out each of the weapons with multiple different combinations of attachments so that I could learn as much about the game as possible given the limited amount of time. So with my prior Battlefield experience with thousands of hours in Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and in 2042, combined with playing Battlefield 6, I wanted to share my thoughts on the beta and the current state of the game coming from a Battlefield veteran like myself. And just as a disclaimer, I decided to play on console. I tried it on Steam, but PC Battlefield is way too sweaty and full of cheaters with laser beam accuracy, so I opted out on skipping covering this game on PC. I just feel that Battlefield on console feels a lot more grounded and is just overall way more fun because it feels like everyone is on an equal playing field, and I don't have to question if I'm playing with hackers or not. So just keep in mind when it comes to my coverage of Battlefield 6 over the next couple of months, I am a console player, and a lot of the tips and advice I give you guys is going to be for just, the average player. I'm not going to give you tips based off of the 1% of the best Battlefield players that have like super laser beam accuracy on PC. I'm going to try to give you tips that, the average person can achieve just playing on console. So just keep that in mind. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, I want to say that I did end up really enjoying the Battlefield 6 beta. And a beta is good when as soon as it ends, you immediately miss it. It has me feeling like Patrick when he waits on SpongeBob to return from school and he just sits around and does nothing all day.
I don't know. What do you normally do when I'm gone?
Wait for you to get back.
Which is something I didn't think we'd honestly ever get the chance to see again. DICE doesn't exactly have the best track record when it comes to game releases, and there's normally some sort of big controversy that they have to deal with at launch. And as of right now, there's not currently any controversy, so fingers crossed it stays that way for the full game release. But looking back at previous DICE games, they normally screw something up pretty bad at launch, and then they have to spend the next 6 months to a year fixing the game to get it back to the state that it should have originally launched in. Look at games like Star Wars Battlefront 2. They had to completely change the progression system and start over from scratch. Then with 2042, they had the specialists, they didn't have a scoreboard, and many other issues that never really got resolved.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
And then even clear back to Battlefield 4, it released completely broken, and it took them many months to get the game polished and finally in a good state. But with Battlefield 6, the reason I'm so hyped is because if there's no big controversy and the game releases in a good state, that means we get a good solid foundation at launch and we don't have to waste 6 months fixing the game, and they can just tweak things based off of player feedback with small updates and hotfixes. This means that they will keep the player base around for a lot longer, that will keep revenue coming in for them, which means we will get more content over time for the game, so it should be a win for everyone, hopefully. So after playing the beta for 4 days straight, I want to go over some of the issues I had with it, and luckily the developers have already addressed some of them and are working on fixing them for the full release. Starting with the sniper scope glint. I think everyone is aware of how bad it is. It's been memed pretty hard online the past week, and it's pretty bad when you're playing on both sides of the sniper. Now when a sniper is on the other team, it's just constant flashes on your screen from all the snipers out in the distance, and when you're the one trying to snipe, everyone automatically knows where you're at because the sniper glint is just so intense. So anytime you peek out and try to snipe somebody, you immediately get counter-sniped, or the enemy tanks will take notice to you and they'll focus on killing you, and it just makes sniping a real pain in the butt for everyone on both sides. Now luckily this has already been addressed by the developers, and it will be getting toned down a bit, so it shouldn't be as bright, but it looks like the glint is here to stay. It just won't be as bad at full release. Now my second issue with the beta is the time of death. Now, the time it takes to kill enemies feels fine to me. It's pretty fast and it feels realistic, and it's on par with previous Battlefield games, so it pays off to land headshots, and most of the weapons feel pretty good and balanced. But when you're on the receiving end of it, it feels like you die way faster. So on average, it takes maybe 4 to 6 shots to kill an enemy, but it only takes like 2 to 3 shots for you to die. This leads to many instances where it feels like you're just spawn dying a lot, and it can make 1v1s pretty hard if the enemy sees you first. I had a lot of examples in the beta where I would catch someone off guard and I would start shooting them first, then they would react and shoot me back and kill me even though I had the advantage. And I've seen people try to defend this and say, stop playing the game like Call of Duty and running and gunning, but I don't think this is a skill issue or a playstyle issue. I think it's just a netcode issue. Luckily though, I've seen a lot of people bring this up on Reddit and Twitter, and it has caught the attention of the developers. I saw that the developers were asking for examples of this, and people were providing tons of clips, so I think this is going to get addressed. Now, this is by far my biggest complaint from the beta, so if they can get this fixed for the full release, I think it'll feel perfect. And since we're talking about the netcode, I noticed there was a few times where someone would shoot me and I know I was behind cover, like behind a wall or behind a tank, and they shouldn't have been able to shoot through the wall and penetrate to get to me. Now, I think this is just due to the coding where on the enemy screen I was still briefly out in the open, and there's a bit of delay between them shooting me and me getting behind cover, so hopefully they tweak that in the coding a bit too. And then another issue I had with the beta is that I would normally run out of ammo quite often. I don't know if it was due to people just not throwing ammo crates or the lack of ammo you could pick up off the ground from dead enemies or what, but there would be times where I'd be on like a 20-0 kill streak and I'd be kicking butt, but I literally could not find ammo anywhere. I had no choice but to run out and die just so I could keep fighting and playing the game because I couldn't shoot anybody. Now, I don't expect this to be an issue for the full game, but I figured I'd mention it since it was a problem I was running into. Now, the last few issues I want to point out that I had with the beta have to do with the user interface, crossplay, and some quality of life stuff. Now, I feel like the user interface could use some work because it's hard to navigate some of the menus when I'm in the game, and things can look a bit clustered when you have like a million different icons going on at the same time. So for example, the grenades are bright orange anytime they get thrown, the objectives are always on your screen at all times, enemies getting pinged are constantly showing up on screen, the mini-map's constantly full of different dots, the reinforcements counter at the top is kind of taking up the whole screen, and it can all feel like a bit much. I like the old days of Battlefield 4 when the UI was simple and it was all kept in like the same area, so I could quickly glance at everything all at once. With how it's set up now, everything's kind of in different spots, and it's hard to just quickly glance and get all the info in one go. So I'd like to see some small tweaks to the UI. And then next up, I know this is wishful thinking, but I hope they change the way crossplay works. I hope that by default, they make it crossplay with consoles only so that PS5 players and Xbox players can play together, and then give the option to play with PC players if somebody wants. I was playing with crossplay off on Xbox, and it would sometimes be hard to find matches because it would only pair you with people that also had crossplay turned off. I think a lot of console players want to have that option to play with other console players. They just don't want to deal with the headache of the PC players with their auto aim and hackers and all that crap. And then two final nitpicks that were in the beta that I hope come to the full game is, one, I hope the default mode for Conquest is closed weapons. Like, I want weapons locked to classes. I just feel like that's more balanced, and that's how it's always been in Battlefield. And then lastly, of course, I want a server browser. I don't know why the developers are even questioning why people want a server browser. This is pretty obvious. People want to be able to pick whatever maps they want to play on. So if I want to play a specific game mode on a specific map, I can quickly, easily search for it and then just join that game. I don't have to sit through all the matchmaking BS and just wait and wait and wait. I can just go pick and choose. And that pretty much does it for all of my complaints with Battlefield 6. I think if they tweak these things and keep listening to player feedback, I think the game's going to be in a pretty solid state when it comes to the full game's launch. And now I want to talk about the weapons. Since I leveled up every one of them and got all the attachments, I gotta say I ended up liking most of them. Now, there's a few that felt pretty bad at first, but after reaching level 20 with each of them and using all of their best attachments, it completely changed the way that some of them felt. So, for example, I hated the DMRs at first. They just felt underpowered and inaccurate, and I couldn't really get a feel for them. But after forcing myself to play with it and learn how to use it, and after I made them more accurate with the different grips and different optics, the DMRs are now some of my favorite weapons in the entire game. So if a weapon feels bad to you at first, I recommend at least getting half of the attachments before you make your final judgment, because some of them definitely get way better and it completely changes the way that the weapon feels. And then of course I have to mention the shotgun. Now the shotgun is a monster, and sadly I think the developers have already said that they're going to nerf it, which sucks because I like the shotgun and I think it should be overpowered at close range. Well, because it's a shotgun. So if you shoot someone in the same room as you with a shotgun, they're gonna die. So I like the shotgun. I hope it doesn't get changed too much. Hopefully they only nerf the range to the shotgun. Otherwise, I don't really see why you'd want to use it if you can't kill as quickly with it. Now, I did see that people were sniping with it with the slug round, so that might need some tweaking, but overall, I did enjoy the shotgun. And then for the sniper rifle, I think it was just okay. I would have liked to had some better scopes for it to give me some different zoom options, but I feel like once more snipers become available in the full release, sniping will be fine. It's just, you know, after they make those scope glint changes and we get some different options and variations, I think sniping will be in a good spot. Then for the LMGs, I really love the LMGs. I think both of them are good for different scenarios, but I really enjoyed the KTS 100 the most out of the two because it was just super accurate and it makes quick work of enemies at medium range, so I really like that one. For the SMGs, I liked both of them. I feel like both are pretty good. They have quick time to kill, they're bad at medium to long range, and they feel great on those smaller game modes like King of the Hill. And then of course, I think the assault rifles and the carbines are both good, and of course they get even better with attachments, but I wanted to specifically mention the AK-205. Now the AK-205 carbine I think is probably my favorite weapon in the beta because this thing is super accurate when it's fully upgraded. Now when you have all the good attachments, it does bonus headshot damage, it has over 86 precision, and it has a 3-round burst mode, so this weapon is really good at scoring headshots from close to medium range. So the next time the beta comes around this weekend, give the AK-205 a shot and let me know how it feels. But that is going to do it for my thoughts on the Battlefield 6 beta so far. Overall, I'm super excited for the full game release, and honestly, I can't wait to play even more of this game and test everything out for you guys. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Let me know the things that you liked and disliked about the beta. And if you enjoyed today's video, then consider giving me a thumbs up because it helps me out in the algorithm. And then if you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button and hitting the bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any future Battlefield 6 videos. And that is going to do it for me, and I will talk to you all in the next video.